a lot of times people actually do that. So,
Now we're live. No, I just like to know. I'm sitting here having my tea.
hey, it's Alyssa and Seth, and we're live.
Short hills from the Middle East.
We're live. Short hills, live. We should do that. It's Seth. No, it's Alyssa.
It's Seth.
No, and Alyssa. And we're
Live.
Middle East. No, we're Short Hills. Live in the Middle East. Okay. It's Alyssa.
It's Seth.
And we're...
Short hills.
No, we're live.
Oh, we're live. Okay.
Are we live? We're not really live.
We're live.
Okay, it's Alyssa.
It's Seth.
And we're Short Hills, Middle East. Okay, let's do it. It's Alyssa.
It's Seth.
And
we're Short Hills.
in the Middle East. Yeah, let's do it together. Yeah.
Okay. We're Short Hills live from the Middle East.
Are we Short Hills live?
Yeah.
Live.
Aren't we live?
Not really, because we're just doing a
Okay, go ahead.
podcast.
All right.
Okay. So, yeah, is the podcast live?
It's live. We're
Depends.
yeah.
Okay.
We're not editing ourselves.
It's Alyssa.
It's Seth.
And we're
Short Hills
live in
from
the
Middle East.
Woo! Hey, Seth. So, how's it going?
It's great. I think you're onto something here, Alyssa, and I really appreciate you taking the steps to kind of like say, let's do this. So I'm very good.
Why are we being so technical? You're happy because Bibi Netanyahu is the prime minister again for a fifth term in Israel.
I am happy about that, but as we were saying before, I didn't vote for him because I don't think there should be a king, and I think people should serve a term, and there's always room for someone else to come along. But I was very impressed with his victory and the way he basically just didn't win, but won very big. So I don't know if you want to examine that, but
Why would you feel that he won very big? I think that he won sort of moderately. If we talk about voting and the 120 votes and the split,
I'll explain to you why he won so big.
Why? Because he ate everybody up.
Correct. His coalition last time in his fourth term was much weaker. He had a 61 majority. Now
he had 61 seats?
Yeah, and now he's going to have a 70 majority.
How do you know? He hasn't picked his party yet.
Yeah, because they basically said who the right-leaning party is that he can make the coalition from, and his party is much stronger now.
So how many religious parties are going to be? How many chairs?
Well, we don't know the exact number, but I think he will have, he had 61 last time, which is a very small majority, and this time he will have 64 to 70, depending on what he wants to pick. And even more than that, he got rid of two people that were pains in his behind. He got rid of Naftali Bennett.
Who I love. I love.
Okay, I'll tell you why I don't like him, and I voted for him last time.
The only part that doesn't agree with me is that he totally looks like Howie Mandel, and I'm always afraid he's going to put a condom on his head and blow it up. I'm like, it's so far from Naftali Bennett's nature, but tell me he doesn't look and sound like Howie Mandel.
Yeah, but it doesn't mind. Not being a totally handsome guy myself, I don't really.
It's not about handsome, but the man is a high-tech genius.
He's a high-tech genius.
He's a high-tech genius. Why would we not want that to be part of our government?
I'll tell you why, because he's not ready for prime time.
Nachon, but either was Gantz.
And Gantz is not ready for prime time. And let's talk about both of those cases, but this is very interesting, and I think it'll be interesting to our audience. He was outflanked and outmaneuvered by Bibi. We're talking about Naftali Bennett now.
And what was he the minister of just
He
now?
was the minister of education.
Education. He wanted to bring English back to the schools because he felt that high-tech, because of the high-tech industry, everybody should be speaking English.
That's correct.
Excuse me, but I really think that's pretty damn important.
It's important. But what's really more important is how he embarrassed himself in the government last time. And this is why he lost.
What did he do?
There was a very big problem in the South, and it remains a problem with rockets coming over from Gaza and burning fields, and the people in the South were very upset. So what happened, just a short, brief history, is Lieberman, who was upset about this.
He says what everybody wants to say, and no, stand up. But some of the stuff he says, you kind of feel it subconsciously, but you don't really want to say it.
So I respect him a lot because he said, the people in the South aren't being represented by Bibi, and he left the government. Now, Naftali Bennett took this opportunity to, and this is one of the reasons we're having elections now, he told Bibi, if you don't give me, now that Lieberman has left the government, if you don't give me the Ministry of Defense, he was the Ministry of Education, which is a big
Right.
portfolio here. Give me the Ministry of Defense, I'm leaving the government. And he thought he had Bibi over the barrel because Bibi now had just lost Lieberman. And Bibi said, "You're not getting it." And then Bennett said, "I'm staying." So the reason Bennett, came up short in this Game of Thrones is that he had, in poker parlance, he had the nuts. That means he had the best hand. And he said to Bibi, "Give me something that I should get because I have the nuts." And Bibi had no cards at all. And he said, "You're not getting it." And then Bennett folded. So,
But wait a minute. But that is so Bibi. Bibi does, nothing phases that man.
right.
Nothing phases him.
He's a stone cold killer because when you have no cards and you call the guy and
What is
bluff
that,
him,
poker face? Is
yeah,
that poker face?
yeah.
Oh my
when you have
God.
no cards and you bluff the guy away from the table who should win because he has the cards,
Yeah.
you're the man. And Bibi, in this way, you have to bow
Wait
down
a
to him
minute,
because
so
he's the man.
Now I get that poster. So I just saw that poster as a regular human being. It was the poster of Bibi, and behind him, was it Gantz and Lapid? And then there was a poster of Bibi with Ayelet Shaked and Naftali. So who did he give the Ministry of Defense? Oh
He
my
took
gosh.
it up for himself.
Yawadi, this is too much already.
Okay.
So how many portfolios? He has 5.
Yes, he has a lot
He
of.
is prime minister, and now he has also many other
This
titles.
is why I called him king, which is
No,
fair.
he's like a little bit of a dictator.
Well, yes, he's a soft dictator. Now, I'll tell you one of the other interesting things that say. So he embarrassed.
Sarah makes him soft, yeah.
Yeah. He embarrassed Bennett, and it's one thing to win, but when you embarrass your opponent, that's really.
What was Naftali in the army? Did he?
Oh,
have
he was
something-
Sayeret Matkal, the same as Bibi. So he was a serious dude in the army. He was Sayeret Matkal.
He was a fighter.
Fighter.
He was a fighter.
Not just a fighter. When
He
you're
was
saying
a colonel.
top fighter.
So when the guys go in, for example, into Lebanon or something like that, is he in the front or he's in the back?
I'm not sure.
holding
Sayeret
control?
Matkal, I'm not sure exactly what they did, but this is the highest of the highest. You got to be someone to be Sayeret Matkal. We can get it. That's another topic that we can talk about.
So Seth's going to do tutorials on this because he knows a whole lot more because he's got. Well, he did. Now he's got the girl. He has a boy in the army. He has a soldier. You have 2 soldiers.
Well, I have one soldier now. I have a soldier that graduated.
And a former soldier.
So my son, who was a fighter.
Thank you very much for your kids,
Yes.
for donating and sacrificing your children to the Israeli army. But I think you did it with a whole heart.
Yeah, I think this is just a tangent, but I think that
We love
one of the
tangents.
reasons
Tangents are good.
one of the reasons we have the privilege of Jews to live in our own sovereign nation comes with a responsibility to be able to defend it, and
Sacrifice our children.
well, that's not something that I'm so happy about because I think I would have liked to do it.
Very difficult for every single.
But kids now
Israeli
here, basically we have we don't really have mandatory service anymore because we have enough people to serve in the army. So anybody who doesn't want to serve, and this is another tangent.
Oh, that is a tangent. So let's hold on to your. Can we hold your tangents? Or actually do your tangent, and when we have it, do your tangent.
Well, now we're on a tangent of a tangent. So
We tangentize.
Yeah.
Is that a word? Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, we'll get back to talking about the topic of the
I
army.
didn't know that now you can really so I think that's better to be able not to do the army because otherwise then they badmouth the army if they get forced into doing it.
And just another thing that should be talked about also is not everybody who serves in the Israeli army has to be a fighter. There are people that serve in intelligence and things like that. So
But
you have
Bennett so let's go back. So Bennett was a fighter.
He was a fighter, a
And he was
badass fighter, and so was Bibi.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's just so interesting because if you just look at him, in Hebrew, Seth's Hebrew. Seth knows more in the history. I know the language better. So the two of us
Correct.
together
My
make
Hebrew.
one full Israeli, I guess.
But you should look at Bennett when he was a fighter. I mean, he doesn't look as much of a nerd. He's
Well, I used to hear his speeches. He used to do a lot from Judea Samaria. He used to do those
Yeah,
amazing
yeah, yeah,
speeches, and it was just like, who is this guy and who is this English? And he signed it. That's when he reminds me of Howie Mandel.
Okay.
So let's go back in that. Okay, so Bibi called his bluff without having anything, but I think Bibi this man has a complete vision of the world.
We're talking about Bibi now?
Yeah, we're going back to Bibi
Okay,
because
yeah.
he's just like a man in his vision, and you cannot stop him. He's a steamroller.
Yeah, but one thing you have to understand about Israeli politics and a parliamentary system is that, as I was saying, that the governments can exist until the coalition sort of falls apart. and then you basically have to have new elections. So Bibi basically took lemons and made lemonade because he was the prime minister and he could have continued to go on, but because people said they're pulling out of the government, it forced, a new election.
Because that would make no sense. You're the prime minister and the minister of defense, so meaning you make all the strategic plans and moves and are in control of everything. That's a little bit
Well,
disturbing.
Bibi's a bit of a control freak, and I think that he's operating within this parliamentary system, and people are supposed to have their own portfolios, and you're supposed to have a government that has,
Party, that's a democracy, no? As opposed to a dictatorship. That's why you would work together with other people.
Yeah, and
So can we say that Bibi has a little issue working together with other people?
I think he thinks he can just do it better than other people. So I'm not sure that I think it's one distinction that is, depends on how you look at it.
Okay, so the bottom line was, because of all this back and forth, there was a call for prime ministry, and who makes that call? The 61 seats.
When you don't have 61 seats anymore, you have a.
So you need 61 seats.
Yes.
And when you lose your 61 seats, when you go under 61, you have 60 seats.
Yeah, then you have a failed government, and then the president calls for new elections.
So it's like
And
a
the
buzzer, like a sound goes off,
Yeah.
and then you're
Yeah.
not under your number, and now we need to elect a new
Yes,
prime minister.
yes.
And then now, what was Gantz in the government before? Was he even in the
Gantz,
government?
no, he was not in the government. He was the one of the head generals that.
He's hot, and I had a dream about him a year ago.
Oh, you think he's hot?
I woke up. No, I didn't wake up. I was in the dream. All I know is I spent like the day sitting on the bench with Gantz about a year ago.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I have never dreamed about a leader before in my life.
So you would sleep with him? Is that what you're saying?
No, I was on a bench with him. That's what I'm saying.
okay. It
Seth.
was very
Jeez, but all I know is all of a sudden he wants to be the leader. But it's very interesting, in this.
But you didn't
world
answer the question.
Well, if I would sleep with Gantz?
Yeah.
Oh, he's a soldier. I don't know. I mean, it's too much information, Seth.
Okay. But anyway.
He's married. I don't sleep with married
okay.
men,
So
yeah.
Gantz, I like.
He is hot, though.
I like
I mean,
that.
he was hotter in the dream than I saw. Because he just hasn't looked good in videos. Listen, when Bibi started calling out that he had mental issues, and I read this quote that he thought that half the country was coming after him, and he got a little too paranoid. It was getting a little bit weird, to be honest.
Okay, but I like the fact that not only you said I think Bibi won, and he won a tremendous landslide victory because he's now going from 61 seats to close to 70. So his coalition is much stronger. And he embarrassed, not only we talked about how he embarrassed Bennett, he is now embarrassed Gantz, who I think his political career is in tatters because Gantz, based on exit polls, said that he had won. And, you never want to do that. I don't want a general serving as prime minister who doesn't know what victory looks like. And Gantz thought that a loss was a victory. So that's pretty embarrassing.
If only you could see the face that I'm making to Seth. Okay, fine. So now we have him. Now, I will be honest. I don't know if I can tell you who I voted for, but I will tell you
Why can't you tell me who I voted for?
Because
I said
don't
who I
know.
voted for.
I know. I don't know if I'm ready to do it yet.
No, do it.
No, I don't want to.
We can't
But-
have a podcast
Yeah,
if
sure
if we don't have complete honesty.
Sure, we can, because
Oh,
right
no.
now, I know I'm working on it. No, it's very hard, because I'll be honest, I did not vote from my heart. I did a responsible vote, and I waited for the very last hour.
So you voted for Gantz?
No, I did a responsible vote, and I waited at the very last hour, and all of my friends who are very, very important people, and I listened to all their insights, I waited for the very last hour. I listened to the Prime Minister, and I really, really thought, as an American sitting here in Israel, as a woman who is so obsessed with the news and global politics, that the situation is so out of control with anti-Semitism. I also see there is an issue right now going on in America, which was so bad with anti-Semitism, but I just see something that there is a window open right now with Trump in office, and I see Bibi, who is a complete world leader, who is buddies with half the dictators of the world, and right now is not the time to weaken our position in the world.
So you voted for Bibi. I think part of this podcast being excellent, and now you just revealed, and I think it's very courageous of you, Alyssa.
I did not say anything.
Is that people will tune in to hear the honesty of Alyssa Frank. So this is really something great.
I have no problem being honest, but I just have a problem because
I like that you voted for Bibi.
I think voting is a very, very private thing. I don't know why I think it. I think growing up in America, you learn about it, but lately politics is so out there. And to be honest, I think I know you're a Trump guy, but I'm so moderate, and I must admit that I am absolutely fascinated with the mindset, that which I don't understand, instead of getting angry or dissing them or saying terrible things, because I just don't think anybody is stupid if they're willing to have these conversations, is that I'm fascinated and I really want to understand mindset.
Okay, so let's understand.
And it's really important. Now, your mindset, you're absolutely off your rocker. And,
yes, my wife would agree.
And I think that you need to be pulled back. At the same time, I look at you, and you are you're so damn bright, and you're very successful, and financially you've done well for yourself. And I don't think that I'm much of a money maker. But I'm a great dreamer. And so when I look at you, I'm like, I think you're absolutely off your rocker, but you must know something. And so I always check in. But I check in from the way other side also.
That's cool. I like people who check in from the other side. I'm not one who believes that everybody should believe the same thing. And I really grew up in a household. This might come out later, in podcasts where debate was encouraged. I mean, I grew up in a household with some pretty superior minds.
But you so stick to your conviction. You are so solid. And I mean, you remind me of that. Remember the thing we grew up with, the clown balloon with the sand on the bottom? It was impossible to get the bottom to work. And they always bought it, and it just never failed. Only on that show with Bob McAllister.
Bozo the Clown?
The Bozo thing. Anyway, it's even when Trump was looking at the lowest of oh, we got him now, I would call you up. I'm like, what do you think? You're like, nah, he's good. I'm like, no way. And when he came back up again, each time he's come back up again, I finally was like, maybe you have something.
Well, I do have something, and I'm going to shock you now and make a big reveal that he came back up every time, but he's not going to win in 2020.
Oh, that's what you think?
Yeah, he's not going to win. And it's not for the obvious reasons. If it was a fair election, he would win, but there is tremendous voter fraud that was seen in the midterm elections. If you looked at South Florida and Broward counties.
Again? Yeah? I thought they figured that out.
No, they haven't figured it out. And
they should use the Israeli primitive system of the box, the blue box.
They should. But Trump won in a tremendous landslide victory electorally. But if you look at the states that'll need to carry again, which is in the Rust Belt, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, he won with 150,000 votes there. And the Democrats, if they don't run Bernie Sanders, if they run someone other than Bernie Sanders, they'll have the votes this time. The Democratic machine knows the votes where they need them. In fact,
I think the Democratic machine is smarter than the Republican machine? Is there a machine in the Republican Party?
Not the same way as in the Democratic.
And is this machine, a.k.a. the deep state?
Yes, but the deep state is both Republican and Democrat. Trump is the outsider here. If you look at what Trump fulfilled a lot of promises in his first 2 years and is continuing to fill them. The ones that he hasn't been able to fulfill was because Paul Ryan and other establishment Republicans betrayed their voting base and did not repeal Obamacare. They didn't
so they lean
help them.
Democratic. They lean more to the.
Well, it's what we have in the United States, and this is very interesting. And Trump was able to expose it. Is a duopoly that really.
What is that word?
A duopoly means.
It's like monopoly with two different boards.
Yeah, it's two sides of the same coin, and so you're really offered
so you're in the middle. There's nothing.
The American voter is offered a choice that really is no choice because it's basically a establishment political system.
It's not going to go anywhere. No change.
No change. Trump is the change. Trump is the change
is
because
he a duopoly? Or
no,
he's
he's
caused it.
No, the duopoly is that there are two parties that really represent the same interests, which are the establishment class. They don't represent what they propose to represent, like Democrat or Republican values. They represent the entrenched establishment.
And are they from both sides, Republican and Democrat, within this?
Yeah, they
duopoly?
play off of each other, but basically
Wow.
they're the same.
Wow.
And Trump is the change force. And when they talk about the deep state, when they talk about deep state and not allowing Trump to do what he wanted to do, this is what we see. This is why there's been such a revolving door, because Trump is not an establishment politician, and he had to learn based on a number of his hires and then fire these people because they weren't doing, the bidding of the president.
Yeah, but he did the most ridiculous thing, is that when he took office, he just didn't get rid of all the Obama people. He did himself a disservice.
Yeah, because he thought that
they would come on over to the other side. Oh my
he
God.
thought that now winning the election, that people would basically put away their politics and do the work of the people of the United States and actually listen to the boss, and he was wrong about that.
So you're saying there's a sense of Trump that is rational, and
He's totally rational, yes.
So you think he's totally rational?
Yes. Yeah, and I think that he's
Do you think he has any type of, not autism, but what's the other?
narcissism?
No, not narcissism. That other, very bright people have this.
Autistic? No, I don't.
No, Hushmeyer's. I forget what this word
Okay.
is. I feel like there's like, is it an extra something in his brain? I mean, I have a problem when people say that he's stupid. There's no way that man can be stupid.
Well, there are really no stupid politicians that achieve this level of success. I mean, we'll talk about like people labeled George Bush stupid or things like that. To be able to, get the number one job in the world, you're not stupid.
I get so.
So I think that's really kind of.
I'm really disappointed when I hear people say that. I heard something really cool the other day because I sat down with. It's a very, very successful American Jewish businessman who married a kibbutznik, and she pretty much is an American at this point. And I was just like talking to her and saying to her, I'm so tired of people calling Trump racist, and to me, he's an elitist. I mean, give me a break. Look at, you can go to any of his clubs. It doesn't matter who you are as long as you have the money. That's elitism.
Right.
And she's like, he's not elitist at all. He's from Staten Island and
Queens.
Queens, sorry. And he's one of the guys, and look at the way he talks. And the minute she changed my perception, it's not that I'm that wishy-washy. I still think I'm right in the. I still like my opinion of the elitism, but she has made me start listening to him differently, and like he's a guy from the streets of Queens.
Correct.
Like,
So there's an elitist aspect. He grew up, kind of looking over the river and thinking that the Manhattan people were prettier and more successful. And there's an aspect about him that wanted to be elitist like that. But I think he really
house
comes.
he grew up in.
Yeah, he comes from that was a rich neighborhood then.
No. Oh, what was it, like Jamaica or?
Jamaica, Queens, yeah.
Oh, it was Jamaica? Oh,
Yeah.
it was that. So I mean, it was a moderate house, something.
Well,
listen, they didn't have gold chairs or whatever it is.
No.
I mean,
But Fred Trump was a tremendous builder himself, his dad. So, he grew up well-to-do.
Has he ever?
No.
Not like his son-in-law.
Kushner? Yeah. Jared Kushner's dad did some bad things. Yeah. I think that's good. I think it's a